Legendary artifacts are some of the most sought after items in Call of Dragons, and for good reason. So stick around in this video because we're going to be ranking every single legendary artifact, how good they are in the open field, and explaining some of their skills that might seem a little bit complicated. What's up guys, MEOWER here back with a brand new video. So we're finally gonna do the legendary artifact tier list. We're gonna go over every single legendary artifact in the game, and we're gonna see what makes a legendary artifact good and what makes a legendary artifact subpar. If you like content like this, please do leave a like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, we have a Discord. I will be leaving its link down in the description of this video, so please check it out. Come chat with us. I would love to interact with you guys. With all that being said, let's get this tier list started. Starting off, we're going to be starting with the Phoenix Eye. Now, Phoenix Eye, in my opinion, and I should leave a disclaimer before I start, every single ranking here is based on my opinion. Do note that every single tier list is subjective, it's not objective, it is all based on perspective and opinions. That being said, Phoenix Eye, in my opinion, one of the best artifacts in the game, a no-brainer in the S tier list, mainly because of the raw stats it gives. It gives a lot of attack. When it fully max, it gives 62% attack, and its skill active is pretty amazing, dealing up to 4,000 damage to up to 5 targets, which is pretty significant, and it does kind of switch the momentum of the battle. Next up, we have Storm Arrows. In my opinion, it's a decent artifact since it's a more like a utility, or not rather a utility. It's more of a rating artifact. That's why, in my opinion, it's a C tier because there are better options for it. For the cavalry, since it is a cavalry after all. Next up, Breath of Gigantes, another S tier, and for two significant reasons. First, it grants a lot of attack for mages. The second reason would be because it gives a huge defense break. Now, defense, if you don't know, defense break is such an amazing debuff in the fact that it can apply up to 32% defense break to 10 targets in the open field, would allow you to clean house. Like it is a massive defense break, not just physical damage, not magical damage, but both type of defenses will get broken by up to 32%, which is insane in the open field. No brainer, easy S tier. Yeah. Next up, we have on the list is I forget its name. The Ancient Tree Roots. It's a gathering rune. It's a gathering artifact. So we're gonna put it in the gathering list, and also the same for Lucia's Horn. Though Lucia's Horn is one of the most valuable artifacts in Call of Dragons, mainly because it grants you access to resource nodes level 7, which are the biggest, or rather the highest level of nodes in the game right now. Plus, it's really handy because it has a 2-hour cooldown, so realistically, you can have at least two high-level nodes out on the field at any given time. Next up, Kingslayer, another cavalry artifact. In my opinion, the current best cavalry artifact in the game, mainly because it has a huge attack boost. Plus, it is an execute, so it executes targets that has 10% or less units remaining, which is pretty significant because you can just run up, execute everyone that is retreating, and then keep hunting down others, as well as a massive fan attack and a really high skill damage factor. Easy S tier, definitely one worth maxing. Next up, we have Shadow Blades. Shadow Blades, the current best archer artifact since it grants attack. It has a really good skill that does a lot of AoE damage, and nothing more to be said other than S tier. Next up, Graymar's Hammer, the one of the best infantry artifacts in the game, or rather, one of the two best infantry artifacts in the game. But in my opinion, it is definitely an S tier when it comes into the open field, since it has a stun to it attached to it. that is AoE and can affect up to 5 targets, plus some really high skill damage factor to couple it up, because infantry marches usually have a lot of troops, so it applies a huge damage that it cannot be taken lightly. In my opinion, S tier as well. Next up, we have the tier of Arbon. The tier of Arbon is a heavily underrated artifact, but I would put it in the B tier, mainly because it gives magic unit defense, which is not a valuable stat because magic units have some of the lowest defenses, so it is definitely a wasted stat. Plus, the healing is not that good because healing in Call of Dragons, I do believe, kind of needs a little loving. It's a bit weak overall, but it's a good support after all, so it will make its place in the B tier. Next up, Strowland's Blade, just a weaker and worse version of Kingslayer. Nothing more to be said. C tier. Next up, Viola's Bow. Viola's Bow is the second best archer artifact, mainly because it grants HP, and HP is the most valuable stat in the game. And the second of all is that it has a chance to silence, or rather seal, the enemies that they cannot activate their artifact skills for 10 seconds, which is pretty significant, especially in the open field. You can silence some key players and wipe them out before they do their massive artifact damage. So it's an A tier. If it had attack, it would be S tier along with Shadow Blades, but it is what it is. Next up, we have the. I don't even know what this one's called. Let me check real quick here. Next up, we have the Springfield Feather. Springfield Feather is a utility artifact that grants you and your surrounding regions haste. That it's just a better version of the boots in the common artifact, but it's a utility, so no other place in the ranking. Next up, we have Dragon Scale Armor. Dragon Scale Armor, the second best infantry artifact in the game. It grants a lot of HP. It has a decent active, but mainly you want it for its humongous HP boost. Other than that, it provides a nice shield in the open field, though that shield is not as valuable as a stun when it comes to infantry because you want to throw in your infantry, you want to disrupt, you want to tank people, and you definitely do want to stun people as well. So definitely it is an A tier. Next up, Latvian Banner. This is an open field artifact, so we're just gonna throw it in the utility, and same goes for the Breath of the Forest, a utility. Next up, Dragon Rift. Dragon Rift is pretty much a Nika artifact since it's a bit more damagey, and Nika does love having damage factor, a high amount of damage attack as well. So I would put it in the C tier since infantry does not really need attack. Next up, Fang of Ashkari. Fang of Ashkari is a little bit overrated in my opinion. I used to think it was amazing, but after discussing with some of my friends, including Sinreal, shout out to Sin for bringing this up to my attention. Fang of Ashkari, overrated, definitely a B tier mainly for the defense, or rather an all-rounder. You usually use it on infantry, but it the problem with it that makes it B tier and even a contender for C tier is that its active stays in one place. It does not follow your march around. If it did follow your march around, I think it would be A and even close to S tier. But since you can just walk a little bit away from it and just it's completely worthless, it's gonna be B tier. It can even go all the way to C tier. Next up, Heart of Kamasai, Heart of Kamasai. Another archer artifact, but this one I will put it in the utility rather since it provides buffs to you and your allies. And it would even be one of the worst utility artifacts because again it has a bug attached to it that when you are active your march cannot apply any skill damage. Again, shout out to Sinrio for bringing this up to my attention. So if there was an F tier, this would be an F tier because it kind of gimps your own march. It silences your own march since it has a 10-second duration, and you being not being able to launch any skills for 10 seconds is pretty significant. Never use it. Don't bother with it at all till the bug is fixed. Next up, we got the Magic Inferno. Magic Inferno is a Lilia only artifact since it needs Scorch in order to activate the other half of its skills. Um, I would not recommend it as long as Phoenix Eye and Breath of Gigantes are in the game. However, if you have no other options, I would definitely use it. But since it is very limited to Lilia, and Lilia would enjoy more Breath of Gigantes or Phoenix Eye, I would put it in the B tier, mainly because of attack. Next up, Visage of the Sanctus. It is a it is a utility artifact. It is a Thea artifact, especially. I would only use it on Thea. Other than that, it's a utility, so no further point talking about it. Next up, Corrado's Wrath. Corrado's Wrath is a peacekeeping artifact, so it would take the utility tag. It improves the damage you deal to dark creatures and darklings. It also would make your attack slightly higher against enemies in the Dragon Trail by 40%. However, if you want to use it, feel free. Other than that, it's a utility. Next up, the Springs of Silence, a worse Dragon Rift, C tier. Next up, Staff of the Prophet. It's a utility that has potential for maybe some nice little strategic moves, but I would rather make a video just for its potential strategies on its own than go dive in deep in here because it opens up a lot of potential for a lot of sneaky plays. Up till then, it is a utility artifact. Next up is the Wolf Woman, I believe if that's what it's called. The Wolf Woman of Hader. It's a cavalry mobility. It's a little bit like you jump in, cast rage skill, then go back. Um, Utility, I guess, or rather C. Whether it's a C or utility, but I will lean more towards utility because it does not do damage as an active. It's more of like it enables you to do damage and that's it. But yeah, that is it for the tier list in my opinion. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, feel free to drop a like, share this video with your friends, and please don't forget to subscribe. This tier list has been made using Tiermaker. I will leave the link to this tier list in the comments down below or in the description, so look out for that. Please don't forget to join our Discord, and I will see you in the next video. Meow meow.